I was in Tehran last month at the Tehran Dialogue Forum. I was invited to attend. The event was hosted by a think tank that's affiliated with Iran's foreign ministry. There were a lot of guests there from elsewhere in the Gulf, in Europe, and a very small number of Americans who were there as well. I was one of the few who was affiliated with an American think tank, the Quincy Institute, and it gave me an opportunity to speak with both members more broadly in the foreign ministry, as well as actually members of the Iran's nuclear negotiating team. And the perspective that I took away from it, and we can get into this in some more depth as over the course of this interview, but is that they were cautiously optimistic about the negotiations. They seemed to think that Steve Witkoff was sincere and a good negotiating partner, and that they mostly were pleased with what they saw as the Trump administration's eagerness to quickly get a deal done. They were adamant that it could be done as long as the White House was prepared not to go against Iran's red line of zero enrichment. They believe they had front-loaded concessions, and I would say that overall they were cautiously optimistic. The only concern that they had was whether the White House was trying to slow walk, or whether spoilers in Israel or elsewhere in the U.S. would somehow try to bring this deal and these negotiations to a halt. Unfortunately, it seems as if that may have been the case, and that their concerns were very, very well placed.
And what was the most surprising thing for you when you were there?
The most surprising thing for me was the fact that members of the negotiating team were eager to tell us that they were very open to whatever else the Trump negotiators wanted to bring into the negotiations. They were adamant that other than their own red line about that they wanted to have low enrichment, capped at 3.67% of uranium, that they were open to whatever monitoring the Americans wanted. They were open to whatever safeguards needed to be in place to ensure that they were following the terms of the agreement. But moreover, that they were open to whatever else the Trump administration wanted to bring in. They were very clear that if that included, if they want to talk about trade, if they want to talk about anything else, even some members of the foreign ministry, not all, were even entertaining the idea that if the Trump team was interested in it, that they were even prepared to talk about normalization of relations. But that basically anything that Trump wanted to put on the table, they were prepared to negotiate on or to consider. That was very much the message that they were trying to give to me and to others who were present. And they were only misgiving they had is they were a bit confused by Witkoff having gone back to Washington at that point and made those announcements about zero enrichment being the only acceptable outcome of the negotiations. Since for the Iranians, they thought that they had front-loaded concessions by saying, other than that low-level enrichment, anything and everything else can be on the table and is up for negotiation.
So tell us where we are right now, because it's pretty confusing. I mean, people went to bed thinking one thing, woke up thinking another thing. There's a ceasefire. There's not a ceasefire. Trump is mad at Israel. Can you kind of walk us through where we are, but also clarify what's real and what's BS, basically?
Well, it seems as if there is a de facto ceasefire of some sort at the moment. Exactly if there are terms to that, or whether both Israel and Iran have really signed on in any formal sense in the way that Donald Trump last night suggested was the case, still remains unclear. What is clear, though, or becoming increasingly clear, is that the claims of the White House that the strikes on Iran's 3 nuclear facilities had definitively destroyed them. There's some serious questions about that. There's a leaked intelligence report coming out of the U.S. intel community that now is being reported on by the New York Times, by CNN, that says that actually that they do not necessarily believe that these facilities have been destroyed, which is exactly the warning that we had been hearing before the strikes were conducted, and is actually not a new warning. This is something that's been going on for many, many years, saying that while these American bunker busting, bombs are supposedly phenomenal at taking out underground facilities, the fact of the matter is that they can only go so deep. And that a number of the Iranian nuclear facilities are extremely well protected, very deep down in the ground, inside mountains. They simply might be beyond the reach of Israeli and American bombs. That seems like there's more veracity now to that concern in the past few hours that we've seen. suggesting that actually it's unclear what the Trump administration accomplished by having dropped bombs in Iran. One thing that has been an outcome of it, however, is that Iran moved its more highly enriched uranium away from the facilities that they were in before the bombing occurred. And we do not know where that is now. It is not under IAEA oversight. It is not something that the Trump administration has transparency into in the ways that they did 1 week ago when Iran was in compliance with the transparency that the IAEA had sought. So we are at this point, it's very hard to say that the United States is somehow further along or has advanced its interest in preventing an Iranian nuclear weapon, given that we now no longer know where the more highly enriched uranium is. It's unclear if the centrifuges were even damaged in this bombing strikes. It seems increasingly more likely that Iran has been presented with a host of reasons to, in the next 5 to 10 years, seek out a nuclear weapon as a deterrence against any of this happening in the future. And it has undermined American diplomats around the world. The fact of the matter is that even in the most charitable version of what happened, an American client state, Israel, our largest recipient of foreign aid, just tried to murder the lead Iranian negotiator engaging with the United States. This is a fact that is not going to be overlooked in Iran. And the fact is, it probably won't be overlooked anywhere else in the world. If this is what happens to those who try to engage with the United States in what I believe was in good faith, there was no indication to me that the Iranians were looking to slow walk this. There's no indication, even being claimed by the Trump administration, there was anything duplicitous going on in the Iranians' engagement with the Americans. It simply is an act of betrayal and an act that goes against any standards of how diplomacy is supposed to be conducted.
Yeah, it's quite shocking. I mean, I can't get over how gullible, brainwashed, dishonest certain people are when it comes to Iran. They're so invested in this narrative of Iran being irrational actors, like bloodthirsty, warmongering, regressive, backwards actors who the West can't trust. And then what we see is, of course, the exact opposite.
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard not to look at those tropes now and ask whether every accusation isn't an admission of some sort. I mean, this is frankly, this is uncivilized as a way to engage in diplomacy. The fact that Donald Trump, in the hours after the Israelis made their first attacks on Iran, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, put out a statement saying, actually, this is Israel acting alone. We weren't participating in this. And within hours, the president was out there saying, actually, we had knowledge of it, supposedly because he saw it on Fox News. He thought it was playing well. He wanted to take some credit.
Right.
Well, in taking that credit, and again, who knows what the truth is here, but the fact of the matter is, in taking that credit for this, he's also making himself complicit in something that going forward, it's unclear how U.S. diplomats and negotiators, how Steve Witkoff is supposed to go back now, assuming he was acting in good faith, and actually get people to come to the table with him and take him seriously. This is really an enormous setback, and I think this is going to be felt for years to come in future presidential administrations, be they Democrats or Republicans, and Donald Trump or somebody else as president are going to feel the consequences of this, which is, how can the United States be trusted if this is what it appears like the U.S. president wants to take credit for, which is, again, the attempted murder of the lead Iranian negotiator.